Tonight on CTV News, we're covering the vice presidential debate.
And then stick around, because we have information on Colorado wildfires and the ASCSU Senate meeting. All that and more on CTV News, starting now.
Good evening, Rams. I'm Westyn Hubbard.
And I'm Kenneth Frederick. Welcome to the Tuesday Night News Show. We have so much to tell you about tonight, so let's get right into it.
As of Wednesday, the Cameron Peak Fire has burned over 128,000 acres and is currently 42% contained. In total this year, over 500,000 acres of forest has been destroyed. The Pine Gulch Fire engulfed nearly 217 square miles of land, totaling 140,000 acres. Both fires were surpassed by the Mullen Fire, which has become the largest wildfire ever in Colorado, with over 160,000 acres scorched. With air quality being poorer in northern Colorado, city and state officials urge residents to stay inside and to, if possible, exercise indoors.
Last night was the first and only vice presidential debate featuring Senator Kamala Harris and current Vice President Mike Pence. It may not have been as confrontational as the presidential debate 2 weeks ago, but it was still a tense debate.
This week's debate was hosted by USA Today's Washington bureau chief, Susan Page, in Salt Lake City. The debate was set up into 9 10-minute-long sections covering topics from the Supreme Court to COVID to the country's safety. The debate may have been more tame than the presidential one last week, but many topics sparked heated moments between the vice presidential candidates. Topics such as racial justice and the Green New Deal were some issues that Harris and Pence agreed they couldn't disagree more on. Coronavirus was one of the biggest topics of the night. Harris was attacking Pence and Trump's administration for withholding information of the virus back in January.
Can you imagine if you knew on January 28th, as opposed to March 13th, what they knew, what you might have done to prepare?
Pence defended the president by saying that Trump didn't want the public to worry about their safety. One big issue with the debate was question dodging by both candidates. Harris dodged questions around expanding the Supreme Court if Amy Coney Barrett is confirmed before the election. She wouldn't answer the question, only saying that her and Joe Biden believe the next president should fill the vacancy left by Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Pence also dodged questions asked by Page. When asked if he and Trump would commit to a peaceful transfer of power after the election, Pence said that he and Trump wouldn't have to worry about that.
Well, Susan, first and foremost, I think we're going to win this election.
There are 2 more scheduled debates between President Trump and former Vice President Biden before the election next month, although Trump announced this morning that he would not attend the next debate because he thought a virtual debate would be a waste of time.
As the election nears closer, we'll do our best to keep viewers updated and informed on all new information that we receive.
23 people have been indicted in a large-scale heroin trafficking ring in Denver. Last September, federal agents seized 33 kilos of heroin and $100,000 in cash. United States Attorney Jason Dunn's office, along with Denver Field Division of Drug Enforcement Agency, announced Wednesday that 23 people were indicted on 37 counts. The defendants face charges such as conspiracy to distribute and transport heroin, money laundering, and using phones involved with trafficking drugs.
Tuesday afternoon, Governor Jared Polis held a press conference to update Coloradoans about our situation with COVID. He even had a COVID test done on him while he was on stage. In many moments during the speech, he criticized the president, saying things like, "We don't all have the ability to have the same quality of care that the president does when he gets ill." But the conference also talked about the future for Colorado. Polis talked about transmission rates going down in people who are between the ages of 18 and 25, but increasing in older people. This is a trend that Polis said could not continue if we're going to keep hospitals from being overwhelmed.
Saliva tests are showing promising results for COVID testing. These tests could help Colorado State University increase testing capacities to 3,000 tests a day. The Saliva Direct tests recently used on students and staff are significantly cheaper and easily available in comparison to the current test. CSU has used 1,000 saliva tests with 5 positive results so far. Associate Professor Mark Zabel says that once they collect enough negative and positive tests to compare to the FDA's approved test, they can send them to the FDA emergency authorization approval. I do think it is really cool that we have this technology that is able to detect that stuff this fast now, which is crazy.
You know, I'm actually really grateful. I had to go get one of those tests a few weeks ago because my roommate started having a cough. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I think it's really important that we're able to get these tests out so fast and so locally.
Everyone deserves to get their results as soon as they can. So,
2 COVID overflow sites are shutting down due to the lower hospitalization rates than predicted. 5 care sites were built around the state in April in case of the hospitals hitting a critical mass of patients. The sites that are closing are located in Grand Junction and at the Larimer County Fairgrounds and Events Complex in Loveland. The 2 temporary facilities have not seen any patients yet and are being closed in order to save the state money on their operating costs.
The ASCSU Senate is here and ready to change campus, but first came a big change to how they are doing their meetings. ASCSU still has work to get done, and they have to hold their meetings somehow. Due to coronavirus, however, that does put some complications on what they can do. What's going on, Rams? I'm here in the LSC, where a lot of you are probably used to having the ASCSU Senate meetings held. However, there has been a change, and we are here to update you on that change and show you the new way you can get your information from the ASCSU Senate. The members of ASCSU have taken to using Zoom as a way to still have their weekly meetings and therefore discuss important topics that they can. If you've been keeping up with ASCSU or CTV whatsoever, many of these faces may look familiar to you, such as newly elected president of ASCSU, Hannah Taylor, or newly elected Speaker of the Senate, Christian Dixon. However, there were other faces that were definitely recognizable, such as Senator Reyes and Senator Hill, people who ran against Dixon in his initial campaign for Speaker of the Senate, but now are part of the overall senators who make up the Senate as a whole. Despite the fact that they were opponents, they definitely are here together now to set a better example and have a common goal set forward for what they can accomplish in the Senate. Many important issues were discussed last night, most notably, though, who would be the Vice Speaker of the Senate. That role was voted on by the entirety of the Senate, and it fell onto Tristan Reyes, Christian Dixon's previous opponent, now going to be his right-hand man within this entire year of ASCSU. Make sure you stay tuned every week to CTV so we can give you the updates on the ASCSU Senate and what happens during these meetings. Regardless of the circumstances, ASCSU is still finding ways to get their business done in whatever way they can.
U-Turn is an academic event that takes place every year here at CSU. The 2-day event is put on by the Institute of Learning and Teaching, or better known as TILT, on campus. The event is meant to be a turning point for students who are struggling during the year. There are 3 workshops that U-Turn will offer: study strategies, time management, and this year's new event, success in an online course. According to TILT's website, U-Turn is a helpful resource that boosts academic success on campus.
A Colorado man was attacked by an elk this last weekend. 41-year-old Zach Bornhoft was on his second-to-last hole at the beautiful Evergreen Golf Course when an aggressive bull elk, the Evergreen, charged him and his friend. They tried to get away in a golf cart, but Bornhoft was impaled on his back side by his right hip. The attack was so severe it sliced his kidney into 2. Unfortunately, with fall being elk's mating season, many of them are territorial and more aggressive. Thankfully, Bornhoft has a wife and 7 kids who are happy to hear that he will make a full recovery after this scary ordeal.
Anyone who's driven on College Avenue knows that traffic can be backed up for over a block at times. The drive-thru at Raising Cane's has been popular in Fort Collins for a long time as well. Sometimes that means they have drive-thru lanes that spill over onto College Avenue. The problem's only gotten worse with the pandemic and the closing of indoor dining options. To remedy this issue, Raising Cane's has asked the city for permission to extend their drive-thru into 2 lanes to keep cars off of College Avenue while they wait for their chicken. If this change is approved by the city, it'll mean a smoother experience for both Raising Cane's fans and Fort Collins city drivers alike.
So here's the deal. I used to work at Chick-fil-A, so it's kind of taboo for me to go to Raising Cane's.
But surely you've had Raising Cane's.
Oh, I have, but the thing is, it's my pleasure not to go there.
You can't say that. As a Fort Collins, resident, as well as a CSU student, it's just a staple.
I will admit the chicken and Texas toast do slap.
Absolutely.
This week's City Council meeting was one for the books, lasting a total of 7 hours.
Earlier this week, on October 5th, City Council had a 7-hour council meeting that ran until 1 in the morning. One of the main discussion topics was the 393-page budget recommended by the city manager. Many residents voiced their concerns, saying the budget was difficult to navigate and understand. City Council member Julie Pignataro explained, "It's $700 million. You can't put it in 2 pages, you can't put it in 20. It's something you keep improving." People from all over Fort Collins asked that the budget focus on areas such as finding a continuous source of funding for Parks and Rec, allocating resources towards legal representation for immigrants, cutting police funding, and preserving transportation. One council member brought up the projections for job reduction in the workforce. Chief Human Resources Officer in Fort Collins, Teresa Roche, said that there were no planned reductions under the current budget proposal. City Manager Darren Atterbury said over 600 employees were on furlough and that reducing workers wasn't a smart idea, seeing as they will be needed more and more once businesses and departments start to open back up. City Council's regular meetings are scheduled every first and third Tuesday of each month and start at 6 p.m., making the next one on October 20th. If you are interested in finding out more about the 2021 recommended budget, more information can be found on the City of Fort Collins website at fcgov.com.
Make sure to check out the Fort Collins City website to stay informed on what is happening.
Well, that concludes our news segment for tonight.
Make sure you stick around and see what's happening in entertainment with Angel Cooper up next.